Hello everyone, and a huge welcome back to my channel. I've had a couple of weeks break, but I am back. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Vicky and I'm currently 2 weeks postpartum after having my second baby boy. So my channel is everything motherhood, lifestyle, fitness, fashion. If you like what you see, please don't forget to subscribe and give me a big thumbs up. So this is a chatty update. I just thought I would update you on how I'm feeling, how my recovery's gone, how my baby is, and just kind of talk you through the labour. I know that if you have followed me already, you've probably watched my labour vlog, so you've sort of seen how it went, but there are a couple of bits of information that weren't in that vlog, not purposely. I just missed them out at the end, so I wanted to kind of discuss that. So I'm going to start with that. I'm going to start with my labour. So I was induced at 40+5. The reason I was induced was reduced movements. So I had 3 episodes of reduced movements with my son. It turns out he's a very sleepy baby, so he was probably just sleeping all the time. But I was super anxious and they decided they were going to get him out. They would have induced me at 10 days, 40+10 anyway. But seeing as I was there 40+5 having a monitor, they just said, come on, let's just induce you. So I had the ProPES, which worked really, really well on me. So I had the ProPES, a few hours later I was contracting, it went really, really fast. So I went from 1 centimetre to 6 centimetres super fast, and then my waters broke on their own. By this point I was begging for an epidural, so I went down to delivery, and I'm slightly gutted I had the epidural. I definitely needed it at the time, but when I was contracting, I could actually feel that pressure down below, which I'd never felt with my first son. I felt this immense pressure, not quite enough pressure to push, but I could feel it going that way, and I was about 7 or 8 centimetres by that point. So if I'd have rode it out maybe for another hour or 2, I may have like sped the labour up, because unfortunately, once I'd had the epidural, I had the epidural about 10:30 a.m. on this Saturday morning, Saturday the 7th, and I didn't have him until 7:45 in the evening. So it was a long, long time, and it slowed everything down. And I remember the same with Oscar, it slows it down. So I wish I'd rode it out, but at the time I felt I needed the epidural, and who knows, it may have taken the same amount of time and I would have been in ridiculous pain. So I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, so I had the epidural, and as I say, it slowed everything down. So from 8 to 10 centimetres, it seemed to take an absolute lifetime. It got to about 7:30 in the evening, and I'd been on the drip so they put me on the hormone drip for about an hour prior to that to speed up my contractions, because they were slowing, and they realised that the baby's heart rate was dipping. Now the same happened with Oscar, but the doctor that came in said to me, I can take you to theatre now and we can try forceps, and if that doesn't work then it's caesarean, or I can scratch baby's head, and if his oxygen levels are okay and I'm happy with them, then you can push. And that's exactly what happened with Oscar, and his oxygen levels were okay, so I was able to push. Unfortunately, with this baby, his oxygen levels were scarily low. So the risk of their oxygen levels being low is brain damage and obviously stillbirth. So it was very scary. So he sounded the alarm and floods of members of staff came in. I didn't really know what was going on. He said to me, are you comfortable? I said yes, and he said, I'm gonna do it here, I need to do it here, I need to get the forceps out now. Doctor was shouting, forceps, forceps. Yeah, I started crying. I was really scared. I didn't know what was going on. I had midwives next to me saying, try not to worry, you know, we just need to get this baby out. So within a matter of a minute, I would say, if that, he had performed an episiotomy on me so that he could get the baby out. He pulled twice, I pushed, and baby was out, and baby was on my chest. It turns out I lost quite a lot of blood. So I didn't mention this in my labour story. I didn't want it to be all doom and gloom at the end, but yeah, I lost quite a lot of blood. I lost 700 mils of blood, which isn't life-threatening, but it's quite a lot of blood to lose. And the reason I lost that is my placenta had abrupted during labour, which is really dangerous, which explains why baby's heart rate was dipping. So they said to me, you know, you're really lucky that he decided to do that there and then. We probably wouldn't have made it to theatre. So the decision that doctor made, I will be forever grateful for, because my little boy was here safe. When they placed him on my chest, they scored his cry, and it's how they determine a well baby from a poorly baby. And he scored a 9 out of 10. So they were really happy with him. I was just super happy he was there. And then I was stitched up. They removed my placenta and I got moved into a room a few hours later and spent the night at Swindon Hospital. I am so grateful for our NHS, because it was a scary situation to be in and they totally executed it amazingly. I can't thank every single member of staff enough. The doctor was so calm. And I did actually ask him, if any of you have followed my story already, you would have known I had a couple of bleeds during my pregnancy. And I said to him, would they have been related to this problem during labour, the placenta erupting? And he said, yeah, they could have been. So it was good that it didn't erupt prior to me having the baby, because that can be really dangerous for mother and baby. But I do need to find out why that happened and if I'm at any risk of that happening again if I was to have any more children, although at the moment I don't feel ready to even make that decision. But that is my labour story. My little boy was 7 pounds 7 ounces and he was born at 7:44 p.m. on the 7th of September, so all the 7s. So by the time this goes live, he will be just over 2 weeks old. I am filming this on day 12. I'm going to talk to you about my recovery, how I've been dealing with things, how I've been feeling, have I had the baby blues, all the sorts of things that new mums really want to know. So day by day, how I've been recovering. So I stayed in hospital for 24 hours. I came home and honestly, my baby is so chilled out that I felt fine. I physically felt sore, so my episiotomy was very sore. Day 1 wasn't too bad because I had some strong painkillers, and then I just kept myself topped up with paracetamol and ibuprofen. But day 2 and 3 was really quite sore. I could barely sit down. Anyone that's had an episiotomy will know that. It was super sore. I was also quite bruised of the force that they used to get the baby out. So yeah, I was very sore. So to aid my recovery for my episiotomy, I have been using the My Expert Midwife Spritz for Bits. Oh my goodness, this stuff is amazing. This is not an ad. I am not being sponsored to say this. This stuff is amazing. You can use it on cesarean section wounds, any type of wounds, and it's all natural. And the reason I think it's amazing is because with my first son, I grazed. So I had like 2-3 stitches. It wasn't a cut, it wasn't a tear, it was a graze. So it was really minimal and it took me longer to recover. So I am now 12 days postpartum and honestly, I feel no pain from that area at all. I feel like I've recovered really well. I haven't looked at it, but I felt it. It doesn't feel fully healed yet. It's very raised still. As a scar is, and then it flattens out. But I've had various doctors and midwives look at it and they've said that it's healing so well. So with the Spritz for Bits, I had been putting it on my pads to begin with. I was quite scared to do this to begin with, so I did it on like day 2. And then on about day 3, I put it on, actually sprayed it directly on once a day. So I've been having 2 baths a day and I've been sitting in the bath, just a shallow bath, sitting in the bath for about 10 minutes just to kind of bathe it. You're not meant to use any products on it, so just warm water. So I've been bathing that twice a day. And then in the early days, I would say like day 3 and 4, I was having a bath in the evening, getting out of the bath, spraying the Spritz for Bits on, and then lying on the bed with no clothes on to kind of airing it out, because the problem is you've got your pad in there which you're bleeding on and it's all moist, isn't it? There's no air getting to that wound, and that's the best thing to do, is get air to it. So I did that about 3 times where I laid on the bed on my side, so it was nice and open to the elements, and aired it out. And one night I was on the sofa and I had no bottoms on, and I laid on a towel, obviously because of bleeding, and I actually fell asleep, and I think I was there for about an hour and a half, so it had like ages to air out. So definitely air it out, that helps so much. And then paracetamol and ibuprofen to cope with the pain. But I would say by day 4 I wasn't really taking paracetamol anymore, or ibuprofen. I was quite happy that the pain was minimal. The other thing I was doing to care for my episiotomy was changing my pad every time I went for a wee. Because the midwife had said that to me on day 1 when she came out. She said, change your pad every time you go for a wee and it keeps it clean. So literally went to Sainsbury's and bought 40 of the pads and changed it every time I went for a wee. So I was changing it like 5 or 6 times a day, probably more than that. Just keeping it nice and clean, keeping the area nice and clean. And I was making sure that when I was going to the toilet, going for a wee, that I was like leaning forward. So I wasn't weeing on it, if that makes sense. I know it might be TMI, but this all helps. So if any of you have had any of that, you'll know what I mean. So aside from that, I have not had the baby blues, but if any of you follow me on Instagram, I have had a bit of a tough time, and I'm not sure if I'm ready to open up about it, purely because I don't want to scare anyone, but equally I kind of do, because I want to know if anyone else has had this situation. So basically day 5 I went into the midwife to have our day 5 checkup, and prior to the day 5 checkup my bleeding had become very non-existent, not non-existent, but it was becoming brown, not red, and was kind of like teetering off, which is where it should be around that sort of time with some people. And I went to the midwife, and my son was having his heel pricked, so I was stood up holding him, and I had a lot of blood loss. So I bled so much that I thought I was wetting myself. That's what it felt like. And obviously put my hand down there, realised what it was. It was coming through my trousers, it went all over the floor. I freaked out. I really, really, really freaked out. I thought that that was the end of me, honestly, because it was that much blood. It wasn't the normal amount of blood. And I'm finding it really difficult to talk about this, actually. I don't like talking about it because it brings it all back to me. It's really mentally affected me. So I'm not going to go on about it too much, but basically I had to lie down and they checked all my obs, and I managed to stop the bleeding myself, like it had stopped. And the midwife sent me home after 2 hours, but didn't explain why it happened. So I came home, and as you can imagine, I was like a rocking dog. I was beside myself. I couldn't understand why it happened. Was it going to happen again? Every time I felt a bit of blood, I said, oh my God, it's happening again, oh my God. So my husband said to me, you need to go to hospital. You need to go to hospital, put your mind at ease. So went to hospital, was observed overnight, and they basically couldn't really explain what it was, but they think by ruling out all of the other things that it wasn't, by doing various tests on me, that it was some membranes left in me that decided to expel themselves, and the amount of blood made me freak out. But apparently blood looks more than we think, if you know what I mean. It was it was all over the floor. My husband had to go and get me new clothes because I couldn't wear, they were saturated. I couldn't wear the clothes that I was wearing. So they reassured me that it shouldn't happen again. Shouldn't happen again is not what a mum of day 6 hormones wants to hear. I was so struggling when I came home, thinking it was going to happen again. Every time I felt a bit of blood, it was going to happen again. And my bleeding has teetered off, but it is still more than what I would want it to be at this stage, because where I'd had that bleed, apparently I reset my bleeding timescale, if that makes sense. I've been really struggling mentally with that because I've not wanted to go anywhere in case it happens. I genuinely thought I was gonna, I don't want to say the word, but I thought that was it. So I've been really struggling with that. So if anyone's had that happen to them, please reach out to me and let me know. And if anyone hasn't, don't worry about it because it's very rare. Apparently it doesn't really happen that often. Still haven't gotten over it properly. But if that hadn't have happened on that Thursday, I was getting on so well. My baby is so chilled, like I say. He sleeps amazing. He wakes up every 3 to 4 hours. We're combined feeding, which I will talk about in a separate video. Everything's going great apart from my little setback, which I'm having to deal with mentally. But as you can see today, I felt ready to make a video. I haven't felt ready to make a video prior to that. I feel so much better. I did the school run today. First time I've done it. I did it this morning and this afternoon with my husband, breaking me in for next week. So I'm really starting to feel positive. As I say, physically, I feel great. I am shattered, of course. I am really tired. And because of my blood loss during labour, I am on iron tablets and I feel like quite lightheaded at times and obviously just tired. But apart from that, I'm feeling good. So I'm really looking forward to getting back to full health. Because I've had these setbacks. It's different to last time, you know, with Oscar I didn't recover as quickly physically as in the stitches, but I recovered much better mentally, and also I didn't have any side effects from blood loss because I didn't have that with Oscar. So the kind of anemic feeling of like being extra tired and having the lightheadedness is not great. I worry that it's something more at times, but I'm sure it's absolutely fine. So how have we adjusted as a family? Oscar has been amazing. He's dealt with it so well, no jealousy, just really helpful. If ever I need anything, he's gone and got it for me. So yeah, really loving having the 2 boys. It's been great, and looking forward to what the future's got to hold for us. So I think that's pretty much it, my life update. So I have got a few kind of exciting videos coming up. I have got a review of some really cool products that I'm going to do in my next couple of videos. I'm also going to do a combined feeding video because it's highly requested. Any other requests, please let me know, and I will resume normal activity with my normal routine. I'm due to go shopping soon, so I will definitely get those Primark hauls in for you all as well. Also, I'm planning to get back to my fitness regime. I'm not sure I'm going to do anything pre-6 weeks because of the health scare I've had. I'm going to take it really easy until I see my doctor at 6 weeks and get signed off. But currently I'll show you my 12-day postpartum body. So I still have a little bump here. I'm quite happy to show you it without. So there's my stomach. So I really feel like the breastfeeding has helped bring my tummy down. I've still got this line down here. Definitely can't fit into jeans yet, but loving wearing joggers. That is my postpartum body so far. As I say, the breastfeeding is working a dream. So if anyone is like thinking, should I breastfeed, should I not? For the fact of that it shrinks your uterus down and helps you recover after, definitely give it a go. So I don't plan to breastfeed for that much longer, but I will talk about that in my combined feeding video. But I hope that helped some people. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and a subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.